The sun bled into the hills of Dry Creek, the kind of fiery sunset that made even the roughest souls pause a moment before sin returned to their hands. The dust rose from the road like ghosts as a tall, well-dressed cowboy rode into town, his black stallion glistening under the fading light. His name was Colton Hayes, a rancher whose wealth stretched across the plains like the horizon itself. But what set him apart wasn't his fortune, it was the quiet fire in his eyes, the kind that spoke of a man who had earned every dollar with blood, sweat, and scars. He had come to the edge of town with a purpose that sat heavy in his chest, to collect a debt long overdue from a man named Samuel Whitfield. Samuel had borrowed money 2 years back, promising to repay once his ranch recovered, but bad harvests, whiskey, and misfortune had taken it all. Now Samuel's land was dying. His cattle gone, and his only treasure left was his daughter, Evelyn Whitfield. She was 22, with soft brown hair and eyes that seemed to carry the whole burden of her father's mistakes. She'd spent years holding the farm together while her father wasted away in guilt and sickness. That evening, when Colton Hayes dismounted before the creaking porch of the Whitfield ranch, the silence was broken only by the flutter of worn-out curtains. Evelyn stepped out, her dress faded but her back straight, her hands trembling slightly as she faced him. "You must be Mr. Hayes," she said, her voice small but steady. "My father's inside." Colton tipped his hat, his gaze scanning the crumbling fence, the barren fields, and finally her tired eyes. "Miss Whitfield," he said, his tone low, "I came to settle what your father owes." She nodded, her throat tight. "I know why you're here, sir, but we have nothing left. Not land, not cattle, not even the tools." A faint wind swept through the dry grass, whispering around them like an old curse. Colton's jaw tightened. He didn't like taking from people already broken, but business was business. Still, when he looked at her, he felt something twist inside. He stepped past her into the small cabin where Samuel lay coughing on a cot. The old man's eyes flicked open, guilt and shame battling in his stare. "Colton Hayes," he rasped, "I meant to pay you back. Lord knows I did. But this drought, it took everything." Colton leaned on the doorframe, watching the man struggle to breathe. "I gave you time, Whitfield. 2 years. You signed your land over as collateral." Samuel closed his eyes, voice shaking. "Take it then. Take the land, but leave the girl be." Colton turned his gaze toward Evelyn, who stood in the corner, clutching her hands. Her cheeks flushed as tears welled up. He could feel her fear, the kind of fear that came from knowing life was about to change forever. For a long moment, Colton said nothing. Then he spoke, quiet but firm. "I didn't come to throw you into the dirt," he said, "but I can't let a debt die unpaid." Evelyn took a step forward, desperate. "Then take me instead," she whispered. Her father jolted up, eyes wide. "No, Evelyn, no." But she kept her gaze on Colton, tears spilling now. "If it means my father can die in peace, I'll go. I'll work for you. Do whatever you ask." Colton stared at her, his heart twisting in ways he didn't expect. He was a man who'd seen plenty of pain in his life, but the courage in her voice cut deeper than any wound. Slowly, he reached out his hand toward her and said the words that would change both their lives forever. "Come with me." The morning came pale and cold as Evelyn climbed into Colton's wagon, her eyes red from crying, her hands trembling in her lap. Her father stood on the porch, shoulders slumped, watching her ride away. She didn't look back, not because she didn't care, but because she knew if she did, she wouldn't have the strength to leave. Colton drove in silence for miles, the wheels crunching over the dirt road. His ranch came into view like a small kingdom carved out of the wilderness, wide. Green pastures, white fences, and barns that gleamed under the morning sun. It was wealth born from grit, not inheritance. When they arrived, the workers looked up in surprise to see the boss bringing home a young woman. Colton led her to a small cabin near the stables. "You'll stay here," he said, his voice calm but unreadable. "You can help in the house, in the kitchen, or with the horses, whatever suits you." She nodded quietly. "Thank you, Mr. Hayes." He looked at her for a long moment before replying, "Colton will do." Days turned to weeks, and though she had come as payment for a debt, Evelyn worked with quiet, strength and dignity that softened every heart on the ranch, including his. She'd rise before dawn, make breakfast for the men, and help men tack in the barn. When the others rested, she read to the horses, whispering stories of home. At first, Colton kept his distance. He told himself she was just another worker. But every time he saw her brushing the horses, the sunlight in her hair, or heard her laughter echo faintly across the yard, something stirred inside him, something dangerous and sweet. One evening he found her standing by the corral, the sky painted orange and gold. She turned when she heard his steps. "You've given me more kindness than I deserve," she said softly. "I thought I'd be treated like property." He stepped closer, his voice low. "You're no man's property, Evelyn. You're here because you chose to be." Her eyes met his, shining with tears. "I came to pay my father's debt." "And you have?" he said, his tone thick with emotion. "But you've done more than that. You've reminded me what it means to feel." Again, the silence between them was heavy, electric. Finally, he reached for her hand, calloused fingers meeting soft skin. "You don't owe me anything anymore," he said. "But if you'll stay, I'd be grateful. Not as debt, but as choice." Evelyn's breath caught, her heart racing. She searched his face for a lie and found only truth. "Are you asking me to stay as your wife?" His eyes softened. "As my heart," and there, under the wide-open sky, she stepped into his arms, her tears falling freely now, not from sorrow, but from a joy she never imagined. In that embrace, the past debts, the pain, and the shame all faded like dust on the wind. Samuel Whitfield passed peacefully months later, knowing his daughter was safe. Evelyn became mistress of the Hayes Ranch, loved by the workers and cherished by the man who had once come only to collect a debt. Together they built something greater than wealth, something forged in forgiveness and bound by love. And every evening when the sun dipped low over the plains, Colton would still whisper those same words that had begun it all. "Come with me."